best in radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz, and we've got Jason Hartman with us. We're talking today about cost of home building, how that fits in with commodities, and how you turn that to your advantage. And Jason, it's been a while. Haven't spoken with you. How are you?
Hey, Kerry. Good. How you doing?
All right. So I'm just back from a couple days in Key West and South Beach, and got my batteries recharged. And
I have never been to Key West, of all places. That place is kind of famous, and my mom wants to go there actually. And she lives in. She's been building her gorgeous southern mansion, her ridiculous southern mansion in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and so she wants to go down there and check out Key West. And I got to take her down there.
It's fun. I mean, it's maybe it's for the real young at heart, but it's worth a trip, especially if you haven't been there before.
I think it's worth a day or two. I just want to check it out. Haven't been. So good stuff.
Not the best beaches in the world. There's better beaches in Florida, but what's really cool is just you feel like you're in an island. You feel like you've gotten away, and it's just a fun place.
I hear that they have a sunset festival every day.
Oh,
As the sun is setting, they celebrate island life. Huh?
That is the main event of the day. You go to this bar, like the Sunset Bar, Sunset Grill, and you just go out. It's like it's just built out into the water, and you just watch the sun go down on a nice day. And now the iPhone has time-lapse photography, so you can just film the sun going down and then watch it like in 15 seconds. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good idea. I haven't used that time-lapse feature too much on the new iPhone, but gotta try it out. Well, hey, there's a lot going on, as always, in the financial and investing world.
Yes.
And we people in the alternative news media and alternative investing world, as your listeners are and my listeners are, need to be forever vigilant and make sure that we can protect ourselves and also make a profit at the same time. So, let's talk about that today. Let's talk about it.
Very, very important, because all the things you think are right turn out to be wrong, and all the things you think are wrong turn out to be right. And what's going on now, it's a financial repression has driven the world to seek return and to ignore risk, because risk has just become irrelevant. But it's amazing, Jason, how quickly risk can become very relevant.
Kerry, the older I get, the less risk, the more risk averse I get, the less willing to take risk. I just get tired of losing money on these harebrained deals. I've definitely done some in my life, and it's just not worth it. It's just too hard to recover. If you look at something like the stock market, the modern version of organized crime, as I always say, when you lose value, say you have $100 stock, it goes to 50, right? But to get back to 100, you've got to gain 100%. You've got to double your money. So it's just terrible with income property. You can stay in the game. It's multidimensional. You have cash flow. You have tax benefits. You have creativity that can be applied to it, and there's just so much more you can do. So. Yeah. Losing money is no fun. Let's not do that.
No, that's to be avoided. But what happens is, like junk bonds, one thing I learned from Benjamin Graham, first securities, first book he ever wrote, or the second book, was individuals should never, ever buy junk bonds, because you can never be in a position where you can accurately assess the risk of the things. And what was the top so-called investment, and they're not investments, of the past year or so, individuals buying junk bonds, high yielding bonds.
Yeah. Well,
nuts.
This is what, and call it a conspiracy. It probably is. But this is what the central bankers around the world, and most notably the Federal Reserve and the government and their unhealthy cartel is really designed to do. I mean, all the people who all their life did the right thing, saved money, saved for a rainy day, delayed gratification, now they've got to invest. And I don't even call it investing. We should say speculate or gamble on these risky investments because there's just no return in the regular stuff. It used to be you could keep your money in the bank, and the inflation numbers weren't so manipulated before the late 70s when they really started to manipulate the heck out of them in the Carter era. And you could keep your money in the bank. You could do a money market. You could do nice conservative investments, and you could live off your savings. Mm-hmm. But you just can't do that anymore in a zero interest rate environment. It's the risky thing to do now is to keep your money in the bank. Yeah. Oddly, isn't that terrible? And so they've set it up this way, and that's why there is this whole world out there. It's a fairly small world. I'll call it a cottage industry of alternative investments, of people who want to invest in income property, in discounted mortgages, notes, and trustees. Maybe they want to do the metals, or other things where they can make a return and be relatively conservative about it and still earn a nice return for themselves.
Yeah. It's just, you just don't have a lot of options. And when you're investing in pieces of paper, we all know what can happen to them, right?
Well, we always like to wail about fiat money and how the dollar isn't backed by gold anymore, and it's fiat money, and virtually every currency on earth is fiat money. But you know what the ultimate fiat money is? Stock. Stock is fiat money extraordinaire, because that value can just totally evaporate, in no time. And of course, the crooked CEOs and all the Wall Street shenanigans, they're just skimming all the profits off the top. We all know this. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. And yep. There's no difference between the banksters on Wall Street and the bankster, in the CEO boardroom, right?
Yeah, no, the board of directors and the C-level executives, if that company is profitable and that investment is profitable, believe me, the people making the real profits are the insiders. It's not the investors, and it's so unfair. It's just really unfair. Yep. But that's the way it is. That's the world in which we live. So we got to avoid that. We got to try to be direct investors and maintain control over our financial future. And so that's what we're talking about. One thing that I found really interesting, I just interviewed on my show today, actually, the chief economist for the NAHB, the National Association of Home Builders. And I wanted to talk to him, Kerry, because they did a really interesting study, and I sent you the link for this article, where they studied construction cost around the country. What did you think of that article?
It was fascinating, not surprising. You look, where would you think the most expensive home building market would be?
Yeah, where that's going to be. It's going to be the Socialist Republic of California, right?
Yeah, and various reasons why. But, lumber costs, you would think right there from Washington State, Oregon would be lower, but I don't think they produce that much lumber now because of environmental restrictions. So it comes from Canada, but you've got tremendous land use restrictions taking place in California and in the Pacific Northwest. So what does that leave you with? You wind up, the developer has got to build parks, got to build streets, and who ultimately
they basically become the city the developer. They got to do all of this stuff, all of this crony capitalism to be able to build and develop their projects. And all of this stuff, Kerry, used to be the responsibility of the city, the township. They used to build the parks. Now, it's suddenly the developer's problem, right? And so all that does is create something I talked about. I kind of coined this phrase when I was interviewing the great Thomas Sowell on my show. And, his work is awesome. I'm sure you're a fan. And he writes for Forbes and has written many, many books. And I coined the term when I was talking to him. I call it environmental racism. and what that means is, I used to live in Orange County all my adult life until 3 years ago when I moved to Arizona. I lived in Orange County, California. And then before that, grew up in Los Angeles. And, I was constantly amazed in Orange County how every time there was this new development, there would be these big signs that would say dedicated open space, and, or some kind of preserve, right? And what that really meant is, that old syndrome of it's a great riddle. What do you call a developer? A developer is someone who wants to build a house in the woods or at the beach or wherever. And, what do you call an environmentalist? Someone who already has a house at the beach or in the woods. Okay. So basically this is a way to keep people out. Okay. And they build their area, and then all the people that move there to this new area lobby for open space. And it's always under the guise of the environment. But, when you see through these things, what they really turn out to be many times is a way to just drive up their housing values and to keep other people out. And, they make the prices so high, they can basically discriminate economically. Okay. Yeah. That's how they do it. Okay.
Yep,
and so,
that's it.
Yeah. So you have all these motivations, but, your regular listeners who've heard me on your show before know that I am really a commodities investor more than a real estate investor. Real estate happens to be the vehicle I use to invest in commodities. And I call this packaged commodities investing or assembled commodities investing. And the reason I call it that is because if you think of it, all the ingredients of the houses I own and the apartments I own are pretty simple. They're things like lumber, a commodity that's traded globally, copper wire, glass, steel, petroleum products, concrete, all of these things are commodities that are traded around the world, and they're not indexed or attached to any one currency. And the beauty, Kerry, is they have universal need. Yep. Every human being has these three basic common needs: food, clothing, and shelter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Yeah.
That's
and
totally it.
So I like commodities. And when I look around the country, my favorite places to buy packaged commodities, they're just commodities in the form of a house or an apartment building, is in the South. I like the South and the Southeast because those are the best prices and they offer the best cash flowing properties. If I were to buy commodities on the commodities exchange, I wouldn't get income from those commodities. I couldn't finance the purchase of those commodities. I couldn't outsource the debt on those commodities to a tenant. I couldn't get tax benefits on those commodities like I do on my real estate. And so I just have a funny, unique way to invest in commodities, basically.
Right. And you'd get front run by the traders on those commodities and everything else.
Where is Michael Lewis when we need him, right?
You'd get high frequency traded and forget it, and then you'd get stopped out and
you're out
sold out and, sold
scammed
down the
every
river.
Which way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it works here. And we all know it. We've seen it over and over and over again. And if you ever bought or sold the options and futures, forget it. You can't get the best price in. You can't get the best price out. At least I never could. If you could, you're better than me. And hats off to you. So.
And I'll tell you, folks, if you want to, if you don't believe what Kerry is saying, read Flash Boys by Michael Lewis, and Google his interview on 60 Minutes. I played it on my show actually. And put in some snarky commentary about it. But he's right. The stock market is totally rigged. It's a scam of epic proportions. And when you read Flash Boys, the book, which is fantastic, by the way, Michael Lewis is a great author. And, he wrote The Big Short and several other books, The New Thing, et cetera. And, he profiles in that book the extent to which these companies will go to high frequency trade and basically beat all of the regular investors to the punch. I mean, Kerry, the speed of light at 186,253 miles per second, not per hour, per second, is not fast enough for these guys. It's insane. If anybody listening is a stock investor and they think they're going to beat that, they're crazy.
Yeah, they're willing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build an optical pipeline, basically, and to gain a few hundred millisecond advantage over the rest of the market, then how could you ever beat them? It's absurd to think of it. And if you've bought stocks and you saw that your trade got broken up into multiple trades, then you were a victim of the Flash Boys, plain and simple, right?
Yeah. Explain how that works when your trade gets broken up, because some of it executes at a certain price and then they can't execute the rest of it immediately.
Because the rest of the bid gets withdrawn and, it goes at a higher price for a few cents higher. And, I don't know the exact, I don't pretend to understand everything about flash trading, about the Flash Boys. I just know that they fulfill a few hundred shares at the lowest price to sense out the order, and then they fulfill the rest at like 5-10 cents a share higher, and they capture that profit. So,
and you do that on millions and millions of trades, and you've made a fortune. Yeah.
And what did you risk?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. And what's the value that you added to the market? Nothing. Yeah. No value whatsoever.
Yeah, so. all they did is skim and scam, and that's what computer hacking bank robbers would do. Like that it's a rounding scam where if they can just scrape 1 penny off everybody's account, nobody will notice that.
Yeah.
Yet by the time they do it, there are millions and millions and millions of dollars there. Yeah.
Except there are people who notice it. The people that do this stuff for a living. Yeah. They noticed it. The guys who run mutual funds noticed it, but they just cost of doing business, and they just let it go for a long time until Lewis popped this thing up and said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I said, "Yeah, something's wrong." And finally, the whole thing came out. But that's what he describes in the book is really the least of what's going on. It's rigged at every level.
Oh, yeah.
All over, up and down. And, if they had a way to rig every real estate transaction, well, you know what, Jason, they really do have a way of rigging every real estate transaction.
In a way,
it's called title insurance.
Title insurance is a scam. Oh my God! Don't get me started on title insurance. You're right.
True.
I thought you were going to say Fannie Mae and the Federal Reserve and that cartel.
Well,
but that's sort of a lot of ways we benefit from that as investors too. So
yeah, we do. But title insurance adds like 1 to 2 or 3% to every transaction that you undertake in virtually every state.
Oh, well, it doesn't add.
Worse.
It's not quite that bad. It doesn't add 3. It doesn't add that much. Okay.
Well, 1 to 2%. New York.
Really?
If there's a mortgage involved, it's you have to have it for the bank.
Yeah.
If there's no mortgage, you can decide to go without. But you really.
There are so many things that are rigged in our world today.
Yeah.
It is just unbelievable. So let the investor beware. That's what we've got to do. Let the investor beware.
You don't really want to go without title insurance, even if you could, because there was so much sloppy stuff done during the real estate boom, and so much bad work done in all these transfers that even if you could go without it, you got to think twice about it, because I don't care how good your title guy is.
It's not worth. No one finds it to be worth taking the risk of going without title insurance, and the lenders certainly won't. So they're probably in on the scam. But let me just mention something about title insurance. So here's what Kerry's getting to, folks, is that, checking the chain of title on a property to know that, the new buyer of that property has clear title to it is not that difficult. Okay, it's not that difficult. And title insurance companies really have very few claims compared to normal, I'll call it normal insurance, other types of insurance policies. And so what happens here is you just have this situation where they are selling this rather expensive, quote, insurance, unquote, to ensure that you have good title to the property. And they hardly ever have or pay a claim, okay, because they can research it up front and pretty much know that the title is clear and clean. I mean, there may be something that comes out of left field occasionally, but it's rare, believe me. Yeah. And so here's what I said when I was complaining about this years ago to one title insurance guy. Okay, because I used to own a traditional real estate company in Irvine, California. Okay, and I said to him, hey, Mike, what about this? These title insurance companies make huge amounts of money. The Department of Insurance regulates them, so that regulation is actually costing the consumer more money, in my opinion. It's not protecting the consumer; it's costing the consumer more because it makes the marketplace anti-competitive. Okay, but that's another subject. We won't even go into that one. Yeah. And his whole claim was this. He said, title insurance, the reason there are so few claims is because our industry spends so much money up front to prevent claims from happening. And I thought, how much money did they spend to come up with that answer? It's pretty good. It's actually a pretty good answer, I thought. But it's just BS, of course.
Yeah,
everything in our world.
Hey,
it's just ridiculous.
Let's come up with Uber for title insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then watch the hits come out on us.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Uber for title insurance, where they bid for your title insurance. You can't bid. It's not like it's all fixed in virtually every state. The price is fixed.
It's fixed by the stupid government.
By statute, right?
The government fixes it. Okay, why is the government interfering in that market? It's
because they were lobbied by the title insurance industry to fix the rates.
Please regulate us, they'll say, so that we can keep competitors out of the business and make a fortune. Yeah, it's a total scam.
So we don't have destructive competition, right?
Yeah, I know. So it's unbelievable.
But
it's unbelievable.
Getting back, so the map is really interesting. It's exactly the cheapest where you'd expect it to be the cheapest in the south.
And it's the most expensive in the highly regulated states. Imagine that.
Yeah. Shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Shocker. The government made housing more expensive in all those places, right? Where they got lots of regulations.
Yeah. So, and on that note, hey, so we still have our contest up, right? For Meet the Masters and for the course. So
we do. Yeah. We got a phenomenal contest for you. So once a year, my company does this fantastic event. We've been doing it for, 9 years now, maybe. And it's a great event. It's called Meet the Masters of Income Property Investing. We fly in people from all over the country. We have clients that come in from all over the world, whether it be Japan, Europe, Australia, everywhere. Okay. This is a great event. It's in Irvine, California, and it's January 10th and 11th. It's like the second weekend of January. And if you want free tickets to this event, just go to jasonhartman.com/Lutz. We're going to raffle off some free tickets or the home study course. So you can have either one. Just take your pick. If you don't want to come out and attend the event live, you can have the home study course, which is like, I don't know, I think it's about I think it's 20 speakers and about 16 hours of audio download content and a 500-page workbook. So this is a course we sell for the home study version for $500. And the live course goes for as much as $1,500. So, go to jasonhartman.com, Lutz, and enter the raffle, and you could win this. There will be a lot of winners from your group, Kerry. We always, we always give away a lot to your people. So, hey,
absolutely. So just go there, sign up for it, and somebody's got to win it. It might as well be you. Yep. And
we'll have a few winners. Let's do 6 people. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
so 6 people can either win the live or the home study course. Okay. And take your pick. Just enter at jasonhartman.com/Lutz, Lutz. And Kerry, one thing I wanted to say before I go, because we didn't get time to really dive into this issue of construction costs, but I meant to talk, and I know we've got to wrap up, about regression to replacement costs. One of the core investing philosophies I have that is different from what most people talk about, which is appreciation, which I think is speculative, to say the least. But regression to replacement costs is a pretty darn great investment strategy. And if you want to know more about that, just check out my podcast on iTunes. Just type Jason Hartman in the iTunes store. It's called The Creating Wealth Show, or you can get it at jasonhartman.com in the podcast section. It's all free.
Yeah, make sure you check out Jason's site anyway. There's so much great information there about investing, about real estate investing, things that you really need to know about. Because, financial repression, your ability to actually go out there and earn a return on your money has been so limited now that there just aren't a lot of places you can go. So just go there, jasonhartman.com. And Jason, we'll talk to you a little later in the month. And hey, enjoy November.
Happy investing to all your listeners, Kerry.
All right, Jason. Talk to you soon.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.